Against? Thank you. Carried. So now, monthly reports from the community boards. We'll hear from the community boards. First up is Horswell Hornby Rickerton, and I'd like to welcome Chair Helen and Deputy Chair Marie to the table, please. And please, time is of the essence today because we've got over 100 minutes of delegations and public forums, so please.
Thank you. So I'll just share the photo of the board first, and thank you for the chance to speak, and hand over to Marie, and I'll come back to quiet.
Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Good morning, everyone. So the community board has made some decisions under delegation, and highlights of it are which are the adoption of the community board plan for the 2023 to 2025, and the board has also approved 15 community service award nominations and 4 youth service award nominations. The others, for the fund applications were also approved. Next, we have an update on the Matatiki Hornby Center. An operator is being sought to lease the new cafe, which will be located in the heart of the Matatiki Hornby Center. Proposals are open and closed midday Wednesday, June 14th. And the library wing is almost enclosed, with the majority of cladding and windows now in place. All main superstructure elements in the pool hall have been installed, and the roof system over this space is about to commence. We have a community board site visit scheduled on June 22nd. The Springlands Reserve Trapping Project, located at the intersection of Murphy's Road and Quaves Road in Halswell. Springlands Reserve is a fantastic 8-hectare reserve with wetlands, native plantings, and walkways. And a small group of volunteers meet every 6 weeks to do planting and maintenance work in the reserve. They've also set up 20 traps as part of a project which received support from the board's off-the-ground fund. Since setting up the traps last year, they have had over 250 catches, including several mustelids. These are the weasels, stoats, and ferrets, which originally came from Europe and were first introduced in the 1880s to control New Zealand's growing rabbit population. Unfortunately, they had limited effect, and all 3 have become pests in their own right, and they now pose as a significant threat to native wildlife nationwide. Next is we have the Waikola Hoops. We had an event on Anzac Day afternoon, which was successful, the 3-on-3 basketball competition. And that's it. I pass you on to our chair.
And thank you. Now, first of all, I'd like to thank you for approving the Horswell Junction Road extension. It's really been necessary for a long time. So thank you to this council. We've had one quite difficult issue, in that residents of Copper Ridge have come to us and lodged a petition, or at least a memo. I think it's been tabled with you. We've had meetings with Kāinga Ora, meetings with our senior planning staff. We've attended to drop-in sessions run by Kāinga Ora, and there may be a further meeting, a small round table meeting. What has happened is that a private developer was progressing the project, and then it's been picked up by Kāinga Ora. And from what I've seen of emails since, it's happening elsewhere in Belfast, in this city, but all around the country. So there's a different process. If Kāinga Ora own the land, they consult early. If, however, it's been put through by a private developer and then they pick it up, they don't have that time for proper consultation. So that's really to tell council that this seems to be an ongoing issue. It's not just a one-off. And we had a meeting with Hornby residents recently. It was a very fruitful meeting with staff, and we're looking at a very difficult intersection. The Greater Hornby Residents Association is now doing its own consultation with their own residents. They'll feed that back to us, and then we'll come back to council. It won't be in this annual plan, it's next year's long-term plan. So thank you very much indeed for your time.
Spot on time. Thank you very, very much. Thank you, Helen. Thank you, Marie. Okay, so next we have Coastal Burwood Linwood with his Paul and Jackie, please. Welcome.
Tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you. We'll be try to be quick this morning because I know that you have lots of people waiting for you. Firstly, I'd like to again thank my colleagues for their constructive work on our community board plan, which we developed collaboratively with staff and community. And just a few highlights. We're supporting things like the Bromley traffic plan and environmental well-being across the ward area, including air quality, which includes dealing with the wastewater treatment plant or the organics processing plant, and dealing with noise coming from Portland containers, and also looking after the three rivers which run through our board area, and also a bunch of safety initiatives in places like Woolston and New Brighton, and supporting community facilities in Burwood. Next, I just want to draw attention to the refurbishing of the Bromley Community Centre. Fantastic work that has been done there. The staff there are absolutely rapt. And we've got a few more things to bring it up to the standard that we'd like. But yeah, just really want to commend the staff and council staff and the community centre staff for their work there. Jackie?
Yeah, I'd just like to comment on the Garden Pride Awards. We did have a wonderful function to give out these awards. I do think it's excellent that we encourage these kind of events and that we recognise the contribution that gardeners bring to the beautifying of our city, and that is for all of us, whether we're walking the streets or driving around, we get to enjoy the beauty of other people's work. So the event in itself was very successful with 80 people in attendance, and yeah, well received. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. Yeah, it's great to celebrate young people around the east. As you'll be aware, there's we young people in the east face some challenges, but we have some amazing youth organisations which work in tandem with the council and other community organisations to support young people and provide pro-social activities. So it's great to see that happening. Again, thanks to our local governance staff for their work on that. And finally, we've got a video, but we don't have time, so I'm going to skip it. I just wanted to talk about the Start Works notice communication. I know that some councillors are concerned about this too, but essentially it doesn't appear to be enough coordination and communication around the starting of works. When we ask about things, so when, like at the moment, Bromley is kind of ring fenced with roadworks, and there was some works that were planned to make it even not the intention, but to make it worse. And when we asked for them to be changed, they were, but there doesn't appear to be a communication, particularly when it comes to council works, NZTA works, and Orion works, all conflicting with each other. So I think we need some kind of deconfliction type process. And also we've just asked to get Start Works notices from NZTA because keep coming by surprise. So it'd be good to have a more systemic response to that. Jackie?
Okay. I'm aware that there has been recent briefings on the Bromley organics processing plant. And I acknowledge that you are doing work in this area, but I also wish to state uncategorically 14 years of air pollution has impacted terribly on the people of Bromley with ongoing trauma, mental health issues, and that is now beginning to affect them in a physical way where they are getting physiological symptoms of ill health due to 14 years of air pollution. I cannot implore you enough to close this plant, and we need it to be closed. The Bromley community will not accept anything less than normal life. Thank you.
And finally, and similar things have happened with both the wastewater treatment plant and the organics processing plant, where there's been disruption to the normal process, and we've all been taken by surprise. And when I say all, you as well. And I don't think that's acceptable. That the whoever is managing it is has something go wrong and then doesn't immediately inform council, so that we get to answer the question on what's happened, what's made it worse, and we don't even know. So, thank you.
Okay, all done? Thank you very much for coming. That's perfect timing. Thank you. And certainly take on board what you're saying. Thank you. Okay, so now we have Banks Peninsula. We've got Ruben and Penelope. And Penelope's changed.
Penelope looks a little different this morning. Morena Koto. Thanks, Phil, for the forward tease about things getting a little bit exciting this morning. I'm sure you were referring to the Te Pātako o Rakahotu Banks Peninsula Community Board report.
Absolutely.
Of which it is my pleasure to share. And our overarching principle in our board plan was deepening engagement with the 6 Papatibirunanga across Banks Peninsula. And the photo on our cover here is board and staff at a recent visit to Onuku Marae, which is at the heart of Akaroa, but also at the heart of New Zealand's history, a really significant site and a really productive day for the board and staff to continue forming the relationships that are so important in governance in this space. Jumping on to the next slide, we've got some discretionary response funding. The first was to the Living Streams nursery in Little River. This is a fantastic community nursery with a really large native propagation operation going on. It's also the reason I always have old plant pots in the back of my car, because you can drop them in there and they'll reuse them. So they don't need to go in the yellow bin, they can go to Little River. The Loons Club also received a grant towards Anzac Day. The club's got a really strong history of community support and involvement in Littleton, and their open door policy on Anzac Day is fantastic. If you're ever in Littleton, get along. And $4,000 also to the Akaroa District Promotions Group, who have a really important role in Akaroa, bringing local businesses and tourism operators together. The youth development funding, Charlie Bridger got $500 towards, not to cover the entire costs, a trip to Costa Brava, Spain, which should bode well next time we have Sale GP in town. We'll have even more local expertise. Coming back to the overarching principle around runanga engagement, we recently had an excellent briefing from Koko Rarata, Port Levy, around some of the issues that are faced in that community. It's a theme that we keep coming back to in our reports across the peninsula around resilience and infrastructure support for our coastal communities. But more than that, these are really active and engaged communities, and what they're really asking for is a much more strategic approach from council, so that they are really included in the process of remediation work, of caring for these environments, and of being across what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and how it's going to happen, so that that process is a partnership process, not something that happens to those communities. That's that. I've spoken to that. And yeah, it does really require some much greater coordination within council, so that when contractors arrive, the local people know that that's going to happen, and things don't have to be fixed retrospectively. The relationships can be much stronger. Is that? Oh, that is a video. So this is
From the bathroom.
what happens in Kokorara to Port Levy because the Ori stream is currently underground. So it essentially just runs across people's gardens and sections, and these are not particularly extreme weather events, and these are not at high tide. So you can imagine if you get an extreme weather event at high tide, how much worse it will be. So we do really need to work with these communities to support them. In Littleton, we were really grateful for Te Hapua Ngāti Wheki giving a new name to the Littleton Rec Centre, Manawa Kawhiu, and the board also put an application through for the Little River toilets to the Tourism Infrastructure Fund, and also provided a letter of support for Te Puna Oaha, which is a creativity collective with a tool library, and they're currently working on facilities for shared workshops for the community to create projects in as well. And we've supported the installation of a Pigeon Bay's new kitchen in the historic Settlers Hall. We've received a really good response back from the Minister of Tourism regarding the concerns that we raised, that the community raised with us around cruise ships and their impact, particularly in Littleton and on the Littleton community in this last season. And on an ongoing matter of the Banks Peninsula Destination Management Plan, this is something that we've been working on for as long as anybody can remember. It has been out for some initial consultation. We've got a fantastic response back from across Banks Peninsula on this, and we've worked with Christchurch NZ on extending the time frame for that and on making sure that everybody across the peninsula who's been involved in that process so far is able to engage further as we shape that document, because the potential for that document to really shape the future of Banks Peninsula and to serve the environment and the community cannot be lost. It's too good an opportunity to let it go by. And just playing to the gallery, I'd suggest that things such as more cycleways across Banks Peninsula could be the kind of thing that we would see in the Destination Management Plan. But yeah, that's everything from us for our Banks Peninsula report this month.
Thank you, Ruben. Absolutely perfect. Thank you. Okie dokie. So we now have Fendleton, Waimari, Harewood, Bridget, and is Jason here? I didn't see him. Yep. Did I miss one? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yes.
I didn't think we were...
Doesn't matter. They're here now.
Okay,
You stay
you
here.
sure?
Yeah,
Alright.
go for life.
Sorry, guys. Okay, we'll be quick and brief.
It's not a race.
Kia ora, everyone. So just to kick things off with our board report, I'd like to take you through just some of the decisions made under delegations, which you can see here. But just in summary, some of those delegations included road safety improvements, parking restrictions. There was also a few tree removals, but also native forest planting. And we've had a few discretionary response funds and also some youth development funds. And we've also adopted our 2023 to 2025 community board plan, which Jason will take you through.
At our meeting on the 8th of May, the board was very pleased to adopt our 23 to 25 board plan. I understand you've been provided with a link to all of the plans, so I won't go into too much detail on the content, but up on the screen we just have one example of a priority from each of our wards in the area. Brenchley Ave in Strohan experiences significant flooding after rain events, and we are keen to undertake a scoping exercise to identify the causes and look at some options for mitigation there, which is common in a few parts around town at the moment. Residents from the Russley area, particularly around Bentley Street, Foven Street and Pinehurst Crescent, have been raising concerns with our board around traffic safety. These streets are very narrow and both sides of the road are full with parking from the nearby business park. We're keen to look at some ways to improve safety, particularly for pedestrians who feel unsafe trying to cross the street there. As we've mentioned previously, Sheldon Park at Belfast is a very well utilised park with a number of groups located there. We're keen to work with them to advocate for improvements to the driveway, car park and upgrading of the playing fields. We've recently received some really positive feedback from our community and on these, and now look forward to working with them and the council staff to progress the priorities in our plan.
Great. So something that's pretty exciting. So through our discretionary response fund, the board was pleased to be able to purchase the installation of an AED at St Tim's on Kendall Avenue. This life-saving device provides 24/7 access to anyone in the community and has been registered with St John's and added to the AED location app, ensuring easy and quick access in an emergency. St Tim's is the perfect location for the device as it's opposite the old Kendall School, which is now home to numerous organisations, the Bishopdale Men's Shed and Kindergarten. St Tim's is also next to a block of shops and social housing units. So in addition to the installation, St John's will be providing training to members of the church, key users and the Men's Shed to ensure the proper use of the AED. Pictured on the screen is Chris Ponnier, the minister at St Tim's, and Richard Rendell from the Men's Shed, who did the installation of the device.
The community project group coordinating and working on regeneration in Bishopdale have completed their latest beautification project in the Bishopdale Village Mall. The group is made up of representatives from the Bishopdale Centre Association, Bishopdale Community Trust, Council's local community development advisor, and 2 members of the Enliven Bishopdale group. As the project team works its way towards revamping the public toilet block in the mall, the next phase has been collaborating with a local artist to create a mural on the outer wall of the toilet building. The building is owned by a private business and creates an alleyway with a library. 2 small green spaces in front of the mural are being tipped as a contender to be part of the council's wildflower planting this spring, which will further enhance the experience of the mural, giving it a colourful connection between the spaces. While doing the artwork, the artist Bruce engaged with many people in the community, and it was a great conversation starter and community connection during its construction as well as after. Staff at the Bishopdale Library say they are getting really good feedback from the community about this mural.
And that's us. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And that mural is outstanding. It's I wish I could paint quarter as good as that.
Don't we all?
Right, thank you very much. So now we will go back to Callum and Kia, please. Sorry about that, missing you out. You're very important.
Kia sends his apologies. He had an urgent thing come up we had to attend to. Tēnā koutou katoa, and kapi nui kia koutou. Thanks for welcoming me here today. My name's Callum Ward. I'm the chair of the Waihoro, Spraden, Cashmere Heathcote Community Board. And yeah, we'll just charge right into it. And I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I know that we've got a lot of important things on your agenda today. So on your agenda, one of the things on your agenda is a Part A report from our board around the Sumner Tennis and Squash Club application to lease the properties. You can see it up on the screen there. So this is a project that with a club worked together with staff to develop a proposal that came to the board and now it's coming to you. There's unanimous support for this from our board. We're happy that there's robust consultation processes in place and that the club has the right intentions in mind for the community and what that space will be used for. So we encourage council to accept the staff recommendation on that report. The Community Pride Garden Awards. So our board held this at the Mātuku Takotako Sumner Centre. So we had a huge turnout, lots of avid gardeners and lots of discussion about gardening. There's something that you can always rely on getting with a group of gardeners. There's a lot of conversation, lots of advice being thrown around. So that was great fun. I'm really proud of that event and the engagement we got from the community. Just want to quickly cover off some of the things that are happening in our area on the ground. We've got the approval of the Cashmere Sanatorium open air shelter it's been added to the heritage list. So that's really exciting. For context, this is a building that was used. It was one of what used to be many dozens, hundreds of buildings up on the Port Hills that were used to provide quarantine and recovery for people who were suffering from Spanish flu after the First World War. So there's only one of them left now, and so it's obviously got a lot of historical significance. We're excited that it's been heritage listed, and the board's priority for this now is to ensure it has a proper maintenance plan in place that meets that sort of status that it has, so that it can last well into the future. The board's approved pedestrian improvements on the corner of Rose Street and Hoonhay Road. So this is a theme, I guess. This touches on a theme across our whole board area of the fact that as we're getting more people in the city, our transport infrastructure is getting more utilised by pedestrians, cyclists, and cars. And what we're seeing is that usage is driving a bit of conflict and lack of safety, especially for our active transport users, our cyclists and pedestrians. So our board's looking at ways that we can help make our spaces safer for those active transport users, and sometimes that means putting in pedestrian improvements, but on the whole it's a program that stretches across our entire board area. Also want to talk a bit about there's a dog park that we're investigating suitable sites for in Heathcote. We're looking at some of the red zone land around there as possible sites for a dog park. We know that currently a really popular spot for people to take their dogs is the estuary, and we know that actually that's really harmful for a lot of the bird life that lives in the estuary, and some of those birds are really precious taonga endangered species. So what we're wanting to do is provide alternatives where possible. We're hoping that we can find somewhere in former red zone land that we could provide a dog park. And finally, just want to touch on the South Library rebuild. So this is open for, the board's been briefed on the design for this that's come from the design team, which we're really excited to see what they've managed to achieve within the budget that they had. This is something that's open for consultation now, so I encourage anyone who's watching or listening to log in and have your say on the South Library rebuild project. The thing that our board's really excited about is the potential to connect the library itself with the surrounding space. It's got the beautiful Ōpawaho River that runs beside it. At the moment, those two, the building and the river aren't very well connected, and we're excited that the proposed plan envisages much more flow between the natural environment and this wonderful community centre, which, as I will say again, is much more than just a library. But that's all I've got to talk to today. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. And I must say that library, the plan of that library concept looks absolutely fantastic. So well done to the team. So thank you very much, Colin. Okay, and lastly, but certainly not least, is Papua Inner Central with Emma and Simon, please.
Kia ora koutou, thank you very much for having us along today. We'll jump straight into it. Get the right slide up. First up, we have some decisions made under delegations at our May meeting. We granted some funding to the St Albans Residents Association towards the cost of their newsletter, and we approved tree plantings along Worcester Street, Cashel Street and Hereford, as well as some parking changes along Hereford Street as part of the Greening the East plan. We made a recommendation, which you have before you today, on C1 Cafe's licence to occupy the High Street Triangle with their tables and chairs, and we approved some no stopping and parking restrictions to improve safety outside Christchurch Adventist School. And then we were also pleased to adopt our Community Board Plan for 2023 to 2025, which outlines our vision and priorities as a board for the rest of this electoral term. Usually we hold our meetings at the boardroom at the back of the Papanui Library, but we're aware that this is a long way to travel for those who live in the central and southern parts of our board area. So last month we took our meeting to the Phillipstown Hub. A number of people made the most of this and came and presented at our public forum, and you'll see them listed there. This is something we'll look at doing throughout the term in order to make our meetings more accessible for all.
Final feedback and reimbursements are coming in now for the Summer with Your Neighbours program of events that have been supported by the Community Board. The photos here are from Shirley, from Avery House at Richmond and from Redwood. And as always, there's been really positive feedback from the public around how those events have run and appreciation for the support from the Community Board. We've also just recently held the Walking Festival with a couple of events in our Community Board area, including a dog stay out in Richmond at the Revolution Eco Hub. and the Going on a Bear Hunt regular event, which was held at Walter Park with more than 150 participants, mostly young children. And that's an event that's been held in partnership between the Shirley Community Trust, libraries and Kia Kori Waitaha.
One of our priorities in our community board plan is around safety initiatives, and we've kick-started this recently by having a briefing with a senior sergeant of the New Zealand Police. This was a really worthwhile opportunity for our board to get an insight into what police are dealing with presently in the city, and I think the biggest thing we got from this discussion was the role that we as elected members can play in encouraging the public to report all crime, as police resources are directed according to the reports they receive. We also had a board visit to Council's Real-Time Operations Centre last week to learn more about the part that team plays in safety and traffic matters, as well as the role that the Council plays in the planning, installing and monitoring of CCTV cameras across the city. And then also last week, our board was invited along with councillors to visit the site of the new youth hub being built on Salisbury Street. This is going to be an amazing facility for our city, offering a safe haven for young people aged 10 to 25 needing support, with a collaboration of co-located services. It's the first of its kind in the country and will offer wraparound services including mental health, medical, education, employment and training, recreation, creativity, social entrepreneurship and housing support in a one-stop shop. I encourage you to head along and check it out if you get the opportunity, and urge Council to support the Trust in every way possible to complete what will be a truly valuable project for the city. And that is us. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Very good, and ahead of time too. Okay, so what have we got, Dawn? We've got an amendment.
We've got a potential amendment put forward by Councillor Johansson. I wonder if we could take 5 minutes, Mayor, to have a discussion with the councillor before you take a mover and seconder.
Okay, very well. We'll have a breather for 5 minutes to get our head round this amendment, and then we will come back. Thank you.